Hey folks, it's your friend Mike Shea from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy DM Prep. This is a weekly show. Oh, I'm already revealing my secrets. Bone claws. That was not supposed to be there. That was supposed to be there. This is a weekly show in which I use the steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master in order to prepare for my own Tomb of Annihilation game. This is a weekly game I run at my local game shop. And and in this show, it goes about an hour. I go through the steps and we see how it works out when we run it against an actual game. If you are on Twitch, feel free to say hello in Twitch chat. I have my little window open here so I can see when people, whoops, just maximize it. I don't want to do that. And what else is going on? We could talk about all things D&D. This show is not set to just talk about Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, although that is what we talk about for the most part. So feel free to bring up any topic you would like to discuss in the chat. If you're on YouTube, thank you very much for coming. You can see a lot of game notes. I always post the game notes for this down in the description below, so you can click the little description link and see all kinds of information about this game and about Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master and links to a lot of related products and topics. So as I do in each show, we will quickly run through the 8 steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. For those of you who've been watching this, you're probably getting tired of this, but it always helps, in my opinion, to sort of reinforce the checklist. There's a lot of research about checklists. I forget, there's a guy who studied checklists and doctors and found that many people's lives are saved when doctors use checklists. 2 things that changed. Nurses that could supersede a doctor's order if they felt that a patient's health was in danger, and 2 was the doctor using a checklist, particularly for like putting in a central line. It saved many infections. We're not saving lives here, but we are helping people enjoy their lives a little bit more. So we can use a checklist and to do that. Evil John is here. Good morning, Evil John. Thank you for coming today. Let's see, I can minimize that and I can minimize that. I'm just trying to get my windows straight here. I got too many windows. I should get another monitor, but what are you going to do? So the checklist. We have 8 steps in this checklist. We do not necessarily use all 8 steps. And in fact, today you will see how we strip down the checklist just to the components that we need. That said, it always helps us to kind of review them and say, okay, do we have to do anything with this step or not, based on what material we've got available. One thing that I found, and I talked about, I think a little deeper in the last show, was that the deeper we get into a published adventure, and in particularly a big dungeon in a published adventure, the more we've read it, the deeper it's already sunk into us, which means the less prep we have to do from session to session. So there's some value in that, I think. So the 8 steps include reviewing the characters. Who are the characters in the game? Who's going to be there? And what do we know about them? And what are their backgrounds and their goals and all that sort of stuff? We do that first, so we have them all in our head, so that when we're actually running our game and when we're preparing for our game, we're considering what the characters want, and we're using them as hooks for many of the other things in the game. The second step is creating a strong start. What is the thing that is going to grab people and say, you are playing D&D? So this is important to just kind of get everybody on the same page and start the game strong. Very important step. Outline potential scenes is sort of a feel-good step. If you don't really have any structure to your game at all, it can help to jot down, like, these are the things we think might happen during this game. Many times they're going to go out the window the minute players start playing. But we try to, it's there. Many times if we don't have anything, it can help us to just, if we don't know where things are going one after one scene, we can consider what the potential scenes are going to be. Again, a very loose list, and often we can throw that step out. Define secrets and clues is a very important step. What are the 10 things that the players may discover during the next game? We don't talk about where they will discover these clues. We just write the clues down, and then as the game progresses, we find opportunities to drop the clues in. Looking back over previous sets of secrets and clues and then reviewing them during the game, during the show, feels like about half of them come into play. But all of them help root the game into our minds. So they're still pretty useful. If we're not running a published adventure, it can help us to develop some fantastic locations. These are the backdrops to each of the scenes in our game. These are kind of interesting places that the characters can explore. We also outline any important NPCs. Who are the NPCs that we need to keep in mind to help keep the cohesion of the game together? Choosing relevant monsters. If they're not already defined for us, we can find monsters that fit the story and fit the ecology. We don't worry so much about challenge ratings and stat blocks. We worry more about what monsters make sense. And many times we can get hooks from the monsters' backgrounds. I'm a big believer in reading the flavor of monsters and really rooting that into our heads more so than worrying about the stat blocks, just so that we can understand how they can fit into the world that we're creating. And then lastly, our magic item rewards. If we want to have a general loose idea of what sort of magic items the players are interested in, and also any magic items that we're going to sprinkle in using either random tables or something like that. Again, in the Tomb of Annihilation game, there's so many magic items. My characters are now, the characters in this game are festooned with them. I don't worry about magic items now because they have many of them. They're probably way overpowered magic item-wise, but that's okay. They're in the tomb. So those are the 8 steps. Depending on how we've organized our game, or if we're running published versus a one-shot versus a homebrew adventure, is which steps we're going to use. And we will go through these steps while preparing for the game itself. All of these steps, by the way, and this whole chapter is available for free. You can go to slyflourish.com, click on the right-hand side on Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, and go for the preview link, and it includes this chapter. So if you just want a Cliff Notes version of the main preparation steps from the book, you can get it there. Doesn't have everything, and obviously there's a lot more in the main book, but it gives a good idea. Evil John has a question. Do you think your review character step is more important to your game given your policy on variable numbers of players at the table? No. I think it is important whenever we can do it. I think it's important. I think that, the Navy DM says, never get tired of that art. Yeah, I know. I love the art in this book. I'm very, very pleased with how it came out. I think that it is, anytime we have the opportunity to know the characters, I think we're in a better state. And I think actually one of the major gaps between organized play and homebrew home campaigns is the fact that in organized play, it's very difficult to know anything about the characters till they drop down at the table. I think that... I've been running these like pseudo-organized organized play games where I know who the players are going to be. They kind of sign up ahead of time and they sign up for a long game. So then I get to know their characters. I think in like local communities, you might get to know the characters pretty well, and a DM can kind of go like, oh yeah, he's the guy with the monkey that swears a lot. But I think it can really, I think that the bond between the characters and the story can't be overemphasized. And I think when we don't have that bond, it means there's a big disconnect between the characters and what's going on in the story. So, yeah, so it's not more important because of the variable numbers of players. And my table does not shift nearly as much as like an organized play table. I almost always have like the same 4 to 6 people. I think mine is as stable as anyone's for somebody who runs a weekly game. I think what you're kind of referring to is the fact that in my game, I have sort of like a 5+2 or a 6+2 group where I sort of have 6 regulars and then a couple of on-call people. And when we have any of the regulars are out, I'll call up the on-call people and see if they want to come. And that way my game almost always happens. It's very rare when we cancel a game. We cancel maybe of a weekly game, we probably cancel maybe 3 or 4. And that's usually sickness or I'm on travel or something like that. So we don't actually shift people that much. You would think there's a big rotation. There's not really a big rotation. It usually means like one person's out for 1 week. For example, we got somebody that I think there's 2 people that are out today, which is actually going to be really interesting. This could be a rough go. Navy DM says, for organized play, I generally make the players upon intro to each other describe what impression their character gives to the other characters. Yeah, so I think there's some tricks, and we probably spent a little bit more time at the beginning of an organized play game to recognize who's at the table. And I've seen, and very tough to do it, more difficult at a convention than a store because the store can be more stable. This is Navy DM talking about organized play and character. Yeah, and I think that's true. I know that at the store games I had played at when I used to play more regularly as part of our local organized play, and then I kind of just built another group and we go to the store, but we're just playing our own thing. you got to know the same 20 or so people, right? And then you'd start to know their characters a little bit more and recognize them. But yeah, it can be. I think it's a tough thing, and I wonder if that's, there's been talk about a general disconnect, just a general feeling of being disconnected from organized play games, and that people don't enjoy them as much as they enjoy home games. And that, I think one of the reasons why is because it might not have that tie to the characters. So, what will we do? Let's take a look at today's game. So, looking back, I copied over the notes. I think one of the things, if we have some time today, I don't know if we will, because I've got a big topic today, which is Belkaraz. Guess what? Both my groups are facing Belkaraz, the Beholder. So we're gonna see how that goes. But there is these so I had asked people about what the more difficult parts and what the more dangerous parts of running the Tomb of the Nine Gods were, and I got a bunch of answers, and I put them all here, and I put little X's next to the ones that I've already run. And it'd be kind of interesting to look back and go, okay, now that I've run these, what did I note from them? And I have a few tricks that ran. So I forget who is out today. I think Gabriel Tharmond is out today. Smoke should be there. Ogechi, who is now known as Ogechirak. The players have started to figure out that Ogechi is got a tie to Ogechirak, and I think Arjan might be out today. So I think we're down to 4. This is going to be really hard because they're fighting a Beholder today. Warren and Huitzalin are out. So, strong start is... I don't know how to spell Belkaraz. Belkaraz. I know his name is in here. There it is. Oh, you can't see my notes. Duh. Thank you. I forgot to switch over. There we go. There are my notes. Thank you very much. This is why we have people in chat. Remind me when I'm being an idiot, which is often. So I don't think we need much of a strong start because they are starting right off at the beginning of the Beholder lair, and if they only have 4 people, it is going to be really tough to handle. God help us if we have 3. If we have 3, I don't know what we're going to do. Like if somebody for some reason doesn't show. But I think we've got 4. Ran that. Yeah, Navy DM says brutal. Yeah, it will be brutal. Especially considering I was going to throw a Deathclaw in there too. That might be a bit much, I think. So I've spent a bit of time. This is sort of like a boss fight, right? And there's not a lot of boss fights inside the whole adventure, the Tomb of Annihilation, but this is kind of one of them. It's one of the major legendary creatures of the game. And boss fights we handle differently than we handle... I handle boss fights differently than I handle everything else, because generally I'm playing kind of laissez-faire, let things happen as they happen. Kind of keep things, I like to refer to it as cooking at the table. But when you're running a boss fight, things are a lot more precise. There is this sort of, you instead of kind of keep sitting back and just keeping the general story in your head, you actually want to, from a DM perspective, want to get tactical. And I think our motivation, however, is important. And our motivation is to make it a challenge and not... there's a gauge, right? And you have sort of boredom and too easy on one side. There's exciting too easy on one side, but there's also sort of boring. And then there's depressing, right? And you've got this gauge that goes back and forth between boring and depressing. And trying to find that middle ground where it's like, it's hard and things are changing and you're like, oh my God, are we going to make this? And then pulling it out is really what you want to go for, right? It's that feeling that, oh my God, I don't think we're going to make it. And then you do make it, right? And some of that is like random, which eye beams a Beholder pulls off, all this sort of thing. So keeping in mind the tactics of a battle is important. And this battle, the Belkaraz battle in particular, is pretty interesting. So let's let's take a look over here. So he's got this big room, right? And it's a semi-spherical room with a mirrored floor. And those of you in chat can help me with this. I don't know that the mirrored floor matters that much. I think it's just like a cool thing. And in the center of it is this cloaked thing, this floating cloaked thing, right? And, you know, everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, there's a beholder in here. But the question is, where is the beholder? Let's see, that's room 44. So the vault, floor beneath the dome is magically slick. Okay, so the floor does matter. Any creature that steps onto it or starts its turn on the floor must succeed a DC 10 or fall prone. When an untethered creature is shoved or otherwise moved across the floor, it travels in one direction and does not stop. Alcove contains treasure. Black drape, iron sphere. Black drape makes it look like an evil aberration, so it looks like a fake beholder. Telekinetic array to remove the drape. Each creature in the room wearing metal is pulled to the sphere and becomes stuck to it. And that is... yeah, this is awful, right? This thing is rough. And you can dispel it if you can cast a spell. And you can attack it and destroy it. Let's see. I read this, but I'm just kind of, yeah. Evil John calls it a TPK room. And a lot of people have said that it's a TPK room. So I want to keep that in mind. And I think what I'm going to do is like play the beholder suboptimally. So there's sort of, how do I gauge? This is a thought. And for you guys in chat, especially those guys, for those of you who have run it or run stuff like this, it can help. If you've got that gauge of depressing and boring, I'm not, especially if I only have 4 people, boring is probably not. So Navy DM says, is your party okay with TPKing? I saw 3 out of 5 groups eat it at a local stores table here. They might be, but I don't want to kill them all, you know? And I've got some sort of story focused things that, you know, maybe, can have an effect. The fact that we have Ogetcherak, and that Ogetcherak might, so who is Ogetcherak? So Ogechi is one of the characters, and he has been touched by a Sararak. He had a very particular event occur where he got the black key from the maze and turned it and got touched by a Sararak, and a Sararak is now kind of grooming him to be an apprentice. I'm not even sure a Sararak knows this, but he puts these things out in the world, and then the things trigger, and it's like Google with their automated job, automated recruitment system. If you don't know this, Google watches what queries you put into Google, and if you put enough high-tech queries of particular types of things that they're interested in, they will at Google, the search engine, will then start recruiting you. I've seen it. I got triggered. And the Google page folds down and it goes to a terminal window and starts asking you questions and quizzes and stuff. And if you get by the questions and quizzes, that leads to an actual person calling you and wanting to recruit you. I only got to stage 2 of 10, I think. I'm not that smart. Yeah, that's not creepy at all. Yeah, they are. They're checking. They're like, oh, wow, you're really interested in machine learning and natural language processing and all these other sorts of libraries. How would you like to work for us? So I think a Sararak is doing that too. He has these little traps and triggers and things in the maze, and certain people trigger him because it will automatically sort of work that guy. And then by the time he gets his attention to him, they'll know whether or not the guy's going to be a likely apprentice. So the fact that I have these like apprentices could matter. I also have sort of Punchy, who is possessed by Zugtamoy, and when he drops to 0, he can turn into a shambling mound. That's happened to him before, but he's kind of losing his humanity. I think he's already lost his humanity. So how do you tweak the difficulty, right? And how do you do it on the fly? So there's 2 ways. One, let me bring up another window here. 2 that I'm considering. On the side of making it harder is increasing his hit points significantly. He can have up to almost 270. I guess it's 266 hit points instead of the 180 that he's got listed. So you can kind of increase his hit points if the beholder's just taking a ton of damage. Being invisible and having run improved invisible creatures before and just watching how much ass they kick, I don't think that I'm too worried about that. The other one is limiting and not being too min-maxy on his central eye, right? That he can... Evil John says, plus hit points is my least favorite way to scale a fight. Yeah, it's not for everybody. I like it because it's easy. But also I don't do it if it's boring, right? So I'm not doing it to just make a battle longer. I'm doing it if the battle's going too quickly. So it has to, there's a certain gauge on that. And we are, according to Crawford, we are fully within our rights to set the hit points anywhere we want within that hit die range. That is literally just the average. So, keep it. I don't make it the max. I just keep the max in the back of my head. So I know, like, if one, a paladin goes in there and does 3 smites on it in a row, and does, 170 points on the first turn, maybe it goes to 260, 270. So I will play with hit points. So that's one way to sort of make it, a little bit easier. Plus hit points is just for when you want X more turns to make the fight more interesting. It's not like you have to push the fight to a TPK. Yeah, right. And if you don't need it, you don't need it. In fact, sometimes I'll choose to, tweak the hit points down a little bit if the battle's if it's kind of getting boring, right? I'll tell you one thing I don't do, and I'll bet Navy DM sees this all the time in organized play, because I see it all the time in organized play, which is you guys have done it. Let's call the battle right here. You guys are already on the way. And it's particularly done when time is an issue. Drives me bananas. Just drives me bananas. Just give the monster 1 hit point, and then when somebody hits it, it dies. But let people get the killing blow, and don't just obscure it by going from this super deep tactical fight to, well, you pushed over the corner and now it's easy. Players want to go over that corner, and they want it. They enjoy of beating the crap out of stuff, and you take away the time when they get to kill it. That's terrible. So don't do that. Don't do that. Just, immediately reduce the hit points to 0 or to 1, and then let every new hit kill it. And sometimes players would be like, well, that guy was a lot easier than the other dude that was almost the same. And you're like, yeah, well, and they get it. But it's still way better. Comes around combo of old mods being written very poorly with regards to pacing and DMs opting not being prepared. Yeah. And I don't think you need to be that. Yeah, right. So I also think a big one, and I saw this a lot, is DMs who are not keeping track of their time while they're running an adventure and saying, don't start keeping track of time 10 minutes before the end of the game. Start keeping track right away and being like, how far am I into this mod? And I'm halfway through my session. So, yeah. So that, I don't know that I need to make this guy harder, but the main thing, if I do already with the improved invis. Oh, the other way to make him harder, if it's like going real easy, is letting him really be tactical about his. So there's 2 ways: being tricky with his central eye. And since I'm running kind of theater of the mindy, I don't, his crazy anti-magic cone, he can move it in 3 dimensions, right? And he moves in 3 dimensions, which means he can sort of turn and shine the beam. Particularly if you have like 1 or 2 people that you want to hit, there's almost a way always for him to rotate and move so that he can pinpoint one person and put the edge of the ray on that one person and not the person next to him, so that he can hit the other people with eye rays. One of the tricks with this beholder, which I think is different than previous editions, is that this beholder's eye ray, his central eye will destroy his own eye rays. It will prevent his own eye rays, which means he can't have an anti-magic cone on someone. And he can't have the cone on someone and hit them with eye rays. So Evil John says a cone from above will hit almost everyone. Yeah. So certainly the beholder could go into a corner, or there's no corner in this room, but he could go to a certain spot and shine it down and hit pretty much anybody that's on the floor. However, then he can't hit any of them with eye rays. And also he will hit the central orb. So it's more interesting about how he can turn him and then hit like a corner of it against people, so that like the 2 spellcasters are in the central eye and then he's hitting the other ones without, and the other little cheat to make it a little easier is that I would consider rolling for the eyes first before he moves his anti-magic cone. So he knows who to put the cone on and who to hit with the beams if he's optimizing DCs. So like if he has an enervation ray, which is a con one, that's a good one for a spellcaster. He might move the eye onto one spellcaster and hit another spellcaster with the enervation ray. So that way he knows what tools he's got each round and he can tune them all. That's a dick move. Those are all dick moves, right? And that those are all intended to make beholders really, really hard to deal with. If in this circumstance, if he is, likely to TPK a party, and he might, well, then he might not play so optimally. So he might have fun with that orb, right? He might throw his eye on it, and he doesn't have to use his eye rays either, right? He could be like, let's just play with these guys. Can you bank a spell off a floor? I mean, you could for fun, but I don't know that in the rules you can actually fire and reflect off of a mirror. So I don't know. There could be fun bits. Mostly I think it's just supposed to be slippery. And it doesn't really matter. In fact, well, none of his stuff targets. So the fact that you're prone doesn't really affect you because he doesn't have anything that targets. Yeah, Navy DM says rules is written no, but you could theoretically play with it. That would be a fun thing to do though. Evil John said, I think I'd allow it at my table, but not rules written. The mirror, right? Is that what you're thinking of? I think it could be fun. And I don't know that it has a major effect one way or the other. Because he can't bank his eye rays. Like, so he could put an anti-magic cone on a guy, but that's still, if the anti-magic cone is on someone, he can't hit him with an eye, even if he's reflecting, because by the time the beam reflects and then hits a guy, it's going into the anti-magic cone. It's getting disintegrated, or it's getting destroyed anyway. So targeting his central eye and optimizing his use of the eye rays, and then dorking with hit points, are probably the ways to really make the beholder hard. To make him easy to kind of let go. And this might make sense. He's kind of insane, right? He's been stuck in this room. He's not like a normal beholder who has a lair and has been thinking big thoughts and is running, Skullport. He's kind of nuts. So he might love to screw with them, right? And the idea of like watching everybody get stuck to the orb is fun, and like hitting them with certain eye rays just to have him do stuff. He might enjoy it, and not just destroy everybody, right? He might purposefully not optimize his use of rays. And I think that could be a good time. And an example, and I have some props today to show, is the shell game. So I'm playing a meta shell game with my players, in which I have let me make sure I can get this on camera. I have my Beholder Mini, right? Here's the trick. And I'm going to set the Beholder Mini. I'm using a Dwarven Forge setup for this. I've got these nice curved walls. I'm able to make a somewhat circular room. And I'm going to, and I know that my players who are crafty are going to watch me do it. I'm going to set the Beholder down, and then I'm going to put the cloak over the top of them, right? And they're all going to go, I wonder what's under there. Even the guys who have run the adventure before are going to be like, did he change it up? Because he knows we're playing, right? Did he change it? Because he just put a Beholder under there. And then the reality is, I've got another Beholder Mini that's invisible. See my invisible Beholder Mini? So, and then when they're like, haha, I'll say, you see the Beholder that's in your eyes. Oh my God, the horror. And then you sort of shake your eyes, and it's not a Beholder. It's a glowing orb, right? And this is a fancy Dwarven Forge glowing orb from their Castles Kickstarter that I love. Look at they see it changing colors. And every time, I know they're going to hate me. That's the fun part. And then every time it turns off, you go bink, it turns off. And then every time they raise back on, like bink, and it, so I think the idea that he will be continually like hitting it with the ray, and they sort of run around the room, and then he goes bink, and they go poof, and they go slamming up against it again, I think will be great fun. But I also enjoy my two beholder, my two beholder trick. A fake beholder and a real beholder, and that's all. I never noticed this guy looks a lot like a walnut. He's also got a lot of dust on. I got to dust my beholder. I don't use beholders nearly enough. So that's my fun little shell game that I'm going to run, right? With I made a little cloth And I just wrap it around the beholder, and they'll know, oh, there's a beholder under there. And they're like, yeah, no, there isn't. And then this guy's dusty too. I haven't used him in a while. That's I think it's a ghost beholder. They had that beholder pack they came out with 5 different kinds of beholders in it. That's one, but I think it's a perfect invisible beholder mini. Who has those? This guy. So break out the compressed air. Yeah. Since Evil John brought it up. Good thing to do, right? Thank you, Evil John, for the tip. You always want to have a buff beholder for whatever fight you're gonna run. He's like, I knew you had some sitting right there. Sure you did. Oh, I just banged the thing. Turns out my wife had it next to her computer. But I also have a lot of computers in this room, a bunch of stuff sitting around. That was fun. So that is going to be my first little trick. I think having him screw at the players. So what those of you in Twitch chat, do you think that will work? That idea that he kind of plays suboptimally? He'll hit him with his anti-magic ray just to screw with him. He'll sort of defend himself just for fun. He'll take hits because he doesn't really care. He's a little nuts. And it won't be until like things get really hard, or if he sees that, wow. And it's almost like instead of me saying, how do I tweak the fight? It's more the beholder saying, man, I haven't had a lot of fun in a while. I'm going to have some fun with these guys. And he doesn't want to kill him either, right? Like he wants to enjoy himself. At least that's kind of how I'm playing it, that he's a little nuts. He doesn't mind taking hits. And it's not until he realizes, oh my God, I'm really threatened, that he will totally, unleash it. So, especially with 4. So one thing I was considering doing is I also want to have one of the, like a cat playing with toying with prey. I think if they flee, he's just going to beat the crap out of them with eye rays outside. I think like his whole level is filled with this stuff. So maybe they run, but I think that they will also see one of the skeleton keys will be in here. Thunderous Oath says the fun part of beholders is the evil nutcase personality, so playing optimally is the opposite of what I'd want to do. If you read Volo's guide, which has a whole thing about beholders, they actually play really hard. They're paranoid. They're not crazy. So they really are, I think they are hard to run because of how tactical they would be. I actually wrote an article about this and I found it because I found I found the artwork that I used on my article, which was like beholder layers. So this is a whole article about Volo's guide and beholder layers, and I tried to say like, the problem is beholders are smarter than I am, right? Anytime a monster is smarter than the DM, you're in trouble. So then you need other tricks to Volo's is great. I think it's my favorite monster book. I like it. I like Mordenkainen's a lot, but Volo's hit the certain monsters that I thought were really interesting that I didn't know a lot about. So they make their lairs, how to build their lair to make them death traps for creatures. And Volo's does too. If you look at Volo's, they show like a beholder lair and show that it's all vertical and on holes. So I made up like 6 beholder death traps, like these are all sort of tricks and traps that a beholder would use to, to really screw with people. And it's like 6 with a D10. So 60 different potential traps. And it's like a lot of things are like a pillar that's holding up a collapsed ceiling so that it can hit the pillar with a disintegrate. It's all like, how does it use? Yeah, where's that one? I had a lot of fun with these. These were great fun to write, and like especially the giant D20s, spherical room containing a drain to an Otyugh pit. jets of acid, spheres of annihilation, gusts of wind and air elementals, grease and glass orbs of freezing liquid, spell reflective tiles, gas spores, spherical rock elements, and giant D20s. Loved ones over acids. Boulette. Yeah, where was Boulette's? Hungry Sturges. That was. I make myself laugh. You know, pillar holding up a collapsed ceiling filled with hungry Sturges. I don't know. Laughing at your own jokes is pretty gauche, but sleeping purple worms. The idea with this is, what are the tools that the beholder has that it can use to trigger its own thing? So like anti-magic, you know, a wall of force over a pit means people are walking on the wall of force and then he hits it with the ray and the wall of force is gone and down they go into the pit. Same with the anti-gravity glyph, right? Like you can put a glyph and anti-gravity and everybody goes flying in one direction, then he hits it and they drop, and then he hits it again and they go up again. So you can have lots of fun with his the various tools that a beholder has. I say his, but I don't think they have genitals. So they. I don't know if beholders use they. It. So what do we have? Oh yeah, the original title. You won't believe these 6 insanely sexy beholder death traps. Number 5 will shock you. That was going to be my original title, and I couldn't stomach that. Although I thought for certain it would work. So we talked a lot about the beholder. Yeah. So so the bone claw. So I wanted to throw I was considering, I'm having them get the key, and definitely I have to have a skeleton key in this room. The whole point was that they had to get to this room to get to a skeleton key, and they know that. And I considered having the skeleton key be a bone claw, and I may still. And the idea is, like, in one of the alcoves, you see the skull sitting there, and the bone claw is sort of hidden in the thing. And if somebody grabs it, it sort of comes out, right? So maybe if they try to grab it during the fight, the bone claw will sort of animate, and that could be, like grab them, and like, oh my God, you know? Wow, that shadow jump is terrible. I don't know if it'll do the shadow jump. So I'll probably weaken the bone claw a little bit. Again, less hit points. Maybe the same amount, mostly attacking people who aren't getting attacked. The thing about the bone claw is the bone claw won't be affected by the magical ray. I don't think the shadow jump might. And it can do a lot of damage, where the beholder has a few eye rays that do damage, but many of its eye rays don't do any damage at all. So I think I'm still going to do that, and it could be that, like, they fight the beholder, they kill the beholder, and then they go to grab the skeleton key, and it turns out it's a bone claw, and then they have to fight the bone claw too. That would be fine too. So I don't know how I'm going to play this out, but I think it is going to be a bone claw somehow. We'll see how that works. But it could be terrible, and I could totally wipe the party because I'm mean. I think after this, I'll probably head to floor 5. So let's have some secrets. Secrets include, I'm never going to, I like that. Somebody, who was it in the chat that said he's, was that Thunderous Oath? Maybe DM. Tilda DeWilda. Oh, you're here. Hello, Tilda DeWilda. I missed you coming in the chat. Welcome. Tilda DeWilda says, like a cat playing with his prey. What else? Doing some secrets. I would never have imagined them. Like, let's see. Entire editions also point out how to build their layers. Thunder South says, I never imagined them that way. Guess I gotta get out that and read it. Yeah. It is definitely worth reading Volos. I really enjoyed reading Volos. I also think it's worth reading the monster manual from cover to cover. Reading all the lore of all the monsters cover to cover, I think, can really help too, because there are some differences in how 5e treats monsters than there are in previous ones. What else? Any character-based things? I think Tharmand might disappear. I think Tharmand's character... I think Tharmand's player is out, so I think... doing a lot with the Sown sisters. One of the interesting things, the closer you get to the end of a campaign, the harder it gets to come up with this many secrets, because you're really kind of tying up everything. So it's not it's you come up with fewer and fewer, because you don't want to put a whole bunch of secrets out there when everybody's like heading right to the end. What else? Oh, I think those of you who remember the last game, we had the legendary Red Cap, whose name was Iron Boots. Let's take a look. I wrote it down. Ironfall. So they didn't meet him, but they heard him, and they knew that he was around, and they've seen some of his work. Might be worth thinking about some type of change in the outside world that they have a way of finding out while everyone else continues. Yeah, I don't know if they have like a major connection to the world, but sort of like, people are starting to die, right? How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more secret. Tilda DeWild says, is there a cleric that could send them ascending? Sure. They could also just get visions. Like, I just love just giving visions. We don't need a lot of excuses for people to get some portents. I forget, did they kill? I don't think they've killed Fenthaza. So it's possible Fenthaza could show up. Something happened simultaneously in the Feywild. Yeah, that's possible. That could be like a Feywild influence. Yeah, the red cap here is a red cap tomb guardian that got captured and rebuilt, and he's the worst. He's the worst of the tomb guardians. He just beheads people. Probably has like an extended crit range, and he's festooned with protection spells. He's the worst one, and he's out there hunting all of the other tomb guardians, and I think he's slowly winning. In fact, I think if they try to run, I think they might run into Ironfall. So we have our secret. So one of the tricks I've been thinking about this more is, and I wrote in the book, there's a chapter on which steps. And I know when I'm running a published adventure, the steps that I use the most are the characters, the strong start, and the secrets. I think if you were running another a homebrew thing, then you probably want to get fantastic locations in there, and then you can kind of play with a lot of that stuff. But those are certainly the ones that I have here. So yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good on secrets. It's mostly, I mean, they're going to have this big fight is really where it's going to go, and it's gonna start there. So we were going to talk about experiences with some of the trouble areas, right? I wrote down a list of the trouble areas that occur in this adventure and what happened in my own. So the Tumbler room, both of my groups, let's see, where's the Tumbler room? Oh, what room is that? Where's the map? Man. Here we go. So it must be floor 5. No. 3? Which room is the Tumbler room on? There it is. The Revolving Room. This is 38. Although I wrote Tumbler room at floor 5, so, but I think this one's bad too. So this was a tricky one. I think it's tricky in how to describe it because it's this weird 3-dimensional room and the art does not really help. Because it doesn't really show, it's kind of a side view, but then this section rotates, so it's not really a side view. But it's a tricky room to describe. And both my groups ended up coming in through 38A, through the other chamber, and were able to disable it before they got into it. And I think, especially for the troublesome rooms, giving players more options to avoid them or recognize that they don't need to be here is a fine way to go. So we'll see that with some of these other ones. But yeah. So yeah. Tumbler. This is I think there might be something else on floor 5. But the Revolving Room was one of the ones that I saw come up often in how it's described. And it's essentially like you've got a room here with a lever. You've got this is the cutoff view of a long hall that has a chamber in it, and the golem is looking through to see if anybody enters this room, and then this room rotates and breathes fire and does all kinds of nasty stuff. It's a cool idea, and I never ran a group where they actually went into it, so I don't know what that's like, but I do know that by describing it, they were able to disable it and then make sure that it didn't work. I have not run floor 5, and I understand that floor 5 is a tremendous pain in the ass, and I've read it a couple times, but I have a feeling I'm just going to have to do it and see. The elemental rooms, again, I think like how we describe them, that's 47. That we can give a lot of clues about what's going on in this room, and that helps significantly. They are dangerous, but they're more dangerous if other characters or if the players are role-playing, like, well, I don't know if he just got killed, so I'm not going to go in there. That they kind of all have to go in and get through them. And then, giving them good hints about what they need to do can help. I don't think they don't necessarily need to be as deadly as they've been run, I think, by a lot of folks. All all of level 5. The wine room, both my groups saw the wine room and said, we're not going in there. And I think by making it clear that like this is not one of the trickster god tombs. This is the false tomb. People can just avoid it. So again, it's another one that I nobody actually triggered it, so I don't know how bad it is to try to get people to understand what's going on. And the wine and the water weirds and everything like that. But you can just give people better clues that there are escape tunnels to get them out, I think. The Tabaxi room I did run. That was a mistake. Room 48. This is Shagambi's tomb, and I ran that. And that wasn't too hard. I think learning how to run like a swarm helps, you know, you kind of, because you have these 48 animated armors, I think is people's problems with them. And, you know, group them together into big groups and not, you know, use mass combat rules and stuff like that if they trigger. But my groups are able to get through using spider climbs and other stuff. So they didn't have any trouble with this. And that's this one right here, room 48. That's in the elemental rooms. But you can kind of avoid that whole section if people don't want to go through there. One of the weird tricks of this is you don't have to go to every tomb. Like there's all these tombs and all these puzzles for each of the tombs, but you don't need to do them. And I think a smart group will be saying like, no, we need the skulls and we got to look for the skulls. So Merric ran them, and he said that the wine, the elements, the Terracotta room, and the let's see. And the ring. What was the ring? Ring was 19. The gravity ring. What happened with this? I don't remember it. Four-way intersection. Oh yeah, that my group figured that out. What's it called? The gravity ring. And I guess just figuring out that they that they're in what they, you know, a quasi tomb, and my groups figured it out. They got enough clues that were like, this isn't the same place. Like this is a whole other tomb, you know. And they're like, well, we're not going to explore a fake tomb, you know. There's some definite interesting secrets you could get there, but you just kind of get people. I think if you're, you know, a DM who holds his cards too close, or who holds their cards too close, can make it worse than it is, and just go ahead and reveal some secrets. Find ways to tell them that you're in a fake tomb and you want to go back to the real tomb. You know, I think, you know, you don't have to say it like that, but just giving him the air is dead in here and you're seeing all decayed remains and like every one of the tombs is sort of dead and nothing's happening here, you know, and sort of like lock off sections of it. And basically then realize like, yeah, this isn't the same place. We got to go back to the other one. I think that can help. So one thing that I can't say enough of is running this adventure simultaneously for two groups is so helpful, because each group I learn it and then I'm able to do it then for the other group. And today I'm going to learn about the Belkaraz fight with my Sunday group, and then I'll know about the Belkaraz fight, which I'm going to be running a week from next Wednesday for my other group. Oh, you like that? Evil John says, search for 19 in D&D Beyond to get faster searches for section headings. Yeah, that's my trick. I use find a lot. So each group is benefiting from the fact that the other group has run some of the rooms that they are about to run. Oh, the period helps. Oh, look at that. Yeah, look at that. Smart. Evil John, good one. So put in 19 dot. So if I want to go to room 44, Bang! Look at you. Thank you, Evil John. That's a great trick. And the interesting thing is, since both groups have been going in different directions, they are each benefiting from the other. It's not like one of my groups is getting all of the benefit that the other one is like basically playtesting. And instead, they are each playtesting some and benefiting from some. So some rooms I'm running much better than others for depending on the group. So that way they're both benefiting from it. But I know if I just ran it for one group, it would kind of suck because, you know, I don't know the adventure till I've run it. And then by the time I know it, you know, I'm not running it anymore. It's kind of one of the reasons I love running Ravenloft so much is every time I run Ravenloft, I learn new stuff. And I run it every year, right? I run it as a Halloween game every year. And I like that. So I think that there's a benefit to running a game, an adventure more than once. If you like it, you know, and I'm running Princes of Elemental Evil, which ranks as one of the lower hardback adventures, but I like it. And running it a second time, I learned a lot. And I also, my philosophy towards D&D changed a lot since the last time I ran it. I was real worried about power level and making sure that the characters couldn't go too deep into a dungeon. And now I don't worry about that. Catharsis says, I can't believe I caught you. I just checked in. Well, you're catching us right at the end. You got 3 minutes. But you can watch the whole, this will all be up on YouTube before noon. So yeah, there's a benefit to playing an adventure more than once if you like one. And I think like picking one, like, I've run White Plume Mountain now many times. And I think running, you know, having sort of your go-to adventure, I think is a neat idea. Like find one that you like. Death House. I'd love to run Death House. I've only run it. I guess I ran it twice, but I'd love to run that one again. You know, maybe next Halloween I'll run Death House instead of Ravenloft. Although it's long. Yeah. I mean, not that Ravenloft is not long, but I can run Ravenloft in 4 hours. I don't know about Death House. Yeah. So Ogre says Temple of Elemental Evil. That's a big one. You know, I've never actually run Temple of Elemental Evil. He's run it 11 times. Wow. Evil John says I run Death House twice. The second time was so much better. That's what I mean. Just even running it one time before is really, really helpful. It really shows you like what's actually going to happen. I don't think there's any, no amount of reading and prep I think will help as much as running it and seeing what happens when you run it. Tilda DeWillis says, got a dash, Christmas one shot in a couple minutes. Excellent. Have fun. Go run a great game. Mr. Hoke says, I've run Sunless Citadel 4 times and I can basically run it from memory now. I've never run Sunless Citadel. Is Sunless Citadel, is that one of the ones in Yawning Portal? I believe it is. Yes. I'm gonna look it up. Sunless Citadel. Is this the one with the kobold that everyone loves? Mr. Oak says, fantastic adventure. I should run this one. I've never run it. Maybe I'll run it for a group. Meepo, that's right. Meepo is in here. I guess the criticism I heard was that it was just rooms full of kobolds. Is that the whole dungeon? No, it's just one level. And does it have a dragon that's really scary? Like you fight a black dragon at the end? And you're like 4th level and he can breathe once and kill everybody. Yeah, I'll have to play this one. If you play them only as monsters, then yes, they're boring. But yeah, I guess that's the key, right? Is to play them up. Like there's lots of kobolds here, but don't worry so much about the fact that there's like 3 kobolds per room, and instead go with what they got. Nice maps, nice Mike Schley maps. Belek a dragon? Easy to reflavor too. The boss is a druid guy and a big frog. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to run that. I've never run it. So I'll have to do that sometime. I think we're gonna have some catch up time. I don't know that we're gonna see a fall or spring adventure. They haven't announced anything. There's been no new announcements. Dragon Heist Platinum comes with 2 clothish maps. Bring me back to the good old days. Is that the Beetle and Grimm version of Dragon Heist? I'm probably gonna run Dragon Heist for my other group, for this group when we're done with Tomb. My other group play tested it. Yeah, I've already run. That's awesome. I almost bought the Beetle and Grimm box, but I've already run it for one group. If I had not run it for one group, I would buy it. And I hope with whatever adventure they do next, they do another Beetle and Grimm box, because I'm probably not going to play test another adventure. I didn't really enjoy playtesting adventures. I'd rather play them when they're done. Sorry for people that playtest. And I would buy it if I'm going to run it for two groups. Yeah, the props I heard are great. The Stone of Galore looks awesome. It is 11 o'clock, so I need to go get ready and pack all my stuff up and get ready to go to my game. But I want to thank all of you for a fantastic conversation in Twitch. You guys brought up a lot of really good ideas and will make my game better. Thanks to all of you who watch on YouTube and who follow on Twitter and everybody else. Thanks for all of you who bought the book. The book is out. It's fully available, print. Everybody's been showing me pictures of their print versions, including the hardcovers. People have been getting their hardcovers in. So I'm very excited for the fact that people were able to get the books before the end of the year. So that is awesome. Anyway, I want you all to get out there and run some D&D. Have a great day.